sorry. Thank you, Parker. Michaela, would you take roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Canales.
Here.
Councilmember Hooker.
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Westover.
Here.
Councilmember Zeter. Mayor Pro Tem Morgan. And Mayor Perrigo. You have a
Here.
quorum.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to excuse Mayor Pro Tem Morgan?
I will make a motion that we excuse Mayor Pro Tem Morgan.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. Right, let's move down to agenda item number 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, agenda item number 4A is approval of the regular council meeting agenda for February 24th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for today.
All right, thank you.
And I will support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. Agenda item number 5A, approval of the regular council meeting minutes from February 10th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I will support.
All right, were there any additions or changes anybody saw? No? All right, so we will be approving these as is. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. We're going to move down to agenda item 7A, which is the first reading of Ordinance 527 for the rezoning of 100 Monroe and 565 Water Street from a C1 to C2, and schedule a second reading and public hearing for Ordinance 527 on March 10th, 2025. And Joel, are you?
Yep, I'll handle this one. Thank you, Mayor. Very quickly, this is a first reading on the rezoning of these two parcels. These two parcels collectively make up the Village Market grocery store and parking lot and Wan Lin restaurant and parking lot. The master plan for the city of Allegan, which was completed in 2023, calls for this area to be planned for general commercial. C2 is our general commercial zoning district. So the city felt compelled to initiate this rezoning request and bring these two parcels into conformance with our master plan. Reminder for City Council, all ordinances are a two-step process here at the City Council level. Tonight is just a first reading, which we just did. And then you will have that public hearing and a second reading at your March 10th meeting. I will point out, Councilmember Walker noticed that in the memo report, we switched between 301 Monroe and 100 Monroe. This is 100 Monroe. And then the Wanland parcel, for some reason, has a Water Street address, even though Water Street doesn't come close to that parcel. So we're not sure what happened there. But that's the way the cookie crumbles with that area. Any questions from council on this rezoning request?
Yeah, I have a question. Is this going to have any effect on the businesses that are currently there?
No, actually, it'll make it easier for them to operate. They're already operating as a C2 general commercial operation.
Great.
Any other questions? No? All right. And you need nothing further from council?
We
on
need a
this
motion
To,
to approve the first reading and
Okay.
schedule the public hearing for March 10th.
okay, all right. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion, yes, to approve the first reading of the ordinance 527 and schedule a public comment.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. Moving down to 8A is a request to hold public hearing and adopt Resolution 25.07 to approve the Brownfield plan for 500 Delano Street.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick introduction. I am going to do a quick introduction, and then Brian Farkas, who's representing the developer, has a small PowerPoint he's going to go over for council, and we'll be able to answer any questions. We also have other experts in the audience tonight that are associated with this program and project that may be able to help Brian answer questions as they come up. First of all, this is a 42-unit, single-family development that's going to occur what we call 500 Delano Street. It's a little more than 8 acres of land that's on Delano. This project's been reviewed and approved from a development perspective at the Planning Commission and City Council level. So tonight, we are only talking about the Brownfield plan and the tax increment financing plan that's associated with that. The developer's going to invest over approximately $12.6 million into this project, of which $4.4 million, some change, is going to be captured and reimbursed back to the developer through the Brownfield tax increment financing plan. An additional $398,000 of those taxes will be captured by the state of Michigan, and then the city stands to capture up to $1.5 million and some change through this project. We do have Brian from Allen Edwin Homes that will be here to go over the project a little more in detail and then answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Joel. And with me is our Brownfield expert to go through it. If you have any further questions, I'll give a brief overview of the plan. So we're calling it River Ridge Village. And again, it's developed in one phase, and we've done something. Originally, we looked at this as a single deed rental, and working with Joel on this, we really wanted to emphasize home ownership. And so this is going to be a home ownership project, with the exception of the 5 workforce housing units that I'll get into later. But it's fully engineered with local compliance before we start digging the project. Here's some renderings of what the houses are going to look like. We think they're going to look really sharp in the area, and I can run through. They're going to be between 3 and 5 bedrooms and 2 baths each. We've got a bi-level, 1,800 square feet. 2-story, another 2-story, over 2,000 square feet. And our homes are extremely energy efficient. This kind of goes through our ratings. So normal homes today have a score of about 130. Ours consistently hit over or under 60, which is extremely energy efficient. We're the state's largest home builder. We build about 800 to 1,000 homes a year across the state. Here's kind of a quick example of where we build. And the cities where we've built over 50 homes, you might recognize a lot of those names on the list. And that is, in case we need it, Joe's going to explain how the TIF works. But shortly, we are very excited to be here. If this is approved tonight, we're going to move to close on the property within 30 days, and then we're going to start building right after that. This is not going to be something that gets approved and we wait a couple of years to see dirt move. We're incredibly excited about this. We're also very keenly aware of the housing crisis that's going on in this part of the state, and we want to move really quickly to help alleviate that. So with that, turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, everybody. Joe Augustinelli. I'm with Michigan Growth Advisors. We're the economic development incentive consultants for the project based in Kalamazoo. So great to be here today. Happy to answer any questions council has. This is, I know, a new program. We're talking about brownfields on a site that you're probably saying, hey, this isn't a dirty, nasty site. Why are we talking about brownfields? That's usually the first question I get when standing in front of city councils with this new program. But the legislature amended the Brownfield Redevelopment Financing Act about 1.5 years ago to create a new category of eligible property, that being housing property, as a way to use the Brownfield program to inject tax increment financing into projects to see these types of projects move forward where they otherwise wouldn't. So that's why this is the tool. The legislature should really change the name of the program, just cut Brownfield out. That would eliminate a lot of confusion. But here we are. So, as Joel mentioned, the Brownfield plan is anticipating to capture about $4.5 million to address a combination of eligible activities, about $1.1 million of infrastructure improvements. So that's your typical roads and pipes and other infrastructure moving through and into the development, about $630,000 worth of site preparation. That's primarily earthwork, pushing dirt around. And for the affordable rentals, there's a reimbursement of about $979,000 for the affordability subsidy, which is an allowable eligible activity under the Brownfield program. So total plan duration is about 25 years. I'd be happy to answer any questions folks have, yeah.
Is it a rental development or a?
Great question. So primarily for sale, there's going to be 5 units in the development that are for rent, that are income restricted to families making at or below 120% of area median income.
And Councilmember Zito, just to clarify on that a little bit, or add a little bit to that, that is a state program to allow to do this kind of, incentivize for what I'm gonna call workforce housing. I mean, in addition to the need for just housing in general in our city limits, we also have a need for quality workforce housing as well, as most of you know when you drive through our neighborhoods. So we feel that this project is gonna help satisfy or check off one of those boxes. Not the whole thing, but it's gonna, help with that issue.
I thought we had gone over, I may be mistaken on what made it a brownfield, but you're saying that the state just broadened the definition?
Yeah.
And it's not a true brownfield?
Well,
Or-
it is a brownfield. It very much legally qualifies. But yeah, I'll add a little bit of context to that. So when the brownfield program was created in 1996, it was focused on purely contaminated, dirty, nasty sites. Over the years, the legislature has amended it a number of times to say, hey, this is a financing tool that's really helpful to get property redeveloped that otherwise wouldn't be. So they first amended it to create a category of functionally obsolete buildings were also eligible to use the program. Then they added blighted properties as an eligible activity. And then they expanded the definition of blighted to include properties owned by land banks. And then they added historic buildings as an eligible, historic resources are eligible property. And then the most recent amendment, year and a half ago, summer of '23, was the addition of housing property. So the statute now says any property with a housing unit, one or more housing units on it or proposed to be on it is eligible property under Act 381. So now it doesn't have to be contaminated, blighted, functionally obsolete, historic. It qualifies separately, purely on the basis of putting homes on the site.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple things to the discussion here for council. This development will be the first, what I'm going to call single-family home development that we've had in the city limits since 2007, when Summit Drive constructed their first house. That's over off North Main as you head out of town. The master deed for that was created in 2001. So it took them 6-7 years to get going. Also, in your report, you'll see a memo from Samantha. That's the lady over there. She is the city's contractor. So you guys authorized us to contract with Felicia Vanderbrink to be our Brownfield contractor. She goes through and does the full review of the plan through the city's lens to make sure what they're requesting, what they're asking for, checks all the boxes. She's the expert from the city side. Joe's with Michigan Growth Advisors, which is with the developer side. So for me, it's important that we have that clarification. The last thing I would add is this is a reimbursement plan. They have to submit reimbursables to the city. And if they say, hey, we're gonna do 1.5 million, I'm gonna round up a number, and roads and curb, but when it comes in at 1.2, they only get 1.2. They don't get what was in the plan. So everything is double checked through the receipts and stuff like that. So from a staff's perspective, we're looking forward to seeing this project, take off. In the community, the Allegan County Community Foundation has a housing initiative. They funded the housing assessment study, 2 years ago. We're looking to build more houses. We're very fortunate and thankful that, Alan Edwin was able to work with this property owner And then I would just say, and end with this, the property owner is Pete Borst. I've been working with Pete Borst since 2018. You know, my first year, I came in 2017, so I was probably here for 12 months when I finally got introduced to Mr. Borst about this property, trying to get this project of some kind going forward. So it has been an 8-year project to get us here tonight.
I don't know who can answer this. So within 30 days of the approval of the TIF, you would start construction. When would the first home be ready?
We're probably looking at third quarter, so fall or winter, if everything goes as planned.
All right. And do you wait for all of the homes to be built before you would start to?
So we're gonna start doing the infrastructure from Delano back to the site. As the sites are ready to be built on, we'll start building them. Yep. I can't emphasize this enough. We are very excited to be here, and I've already talked to your city manager about other land and other opportunities in Allegan. You know, I see it, my job is driving all around the state constantly, and the housing crisis is real. And so when we see a city council and a city administration really focused on addressing that, we get really excited too.
Nope, thank you. This requires a public hearing, yeah. And can you turn on your microphone, Mayor?
I shut it off, so
It's the second go-around on council, I think you know this by now.
I
Green means go.
I need a easy button.
You have a button, you push
I have
it,
a
and it turns
button.
on your microphone.
I'll just leave it on all the time and you can all hear me
All right.
do whatever. All right, it is 6:16 and I will open the public hearing for any comments. If you do have a comment, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes. Seeing lots of people run up here. See, now you guys can hear my comments. All right, I am not seeing anyone here for the public hearing to adopt Resolution 25-7. So I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:7. I'm going to say 6:18, I don't know. Okay, all right, can I get a motion to approve the adoption of
I will.
Resolution 25-7?
I will make a motion that we adopt Resolution 25.07 to approve the Brownfield plan for 500 Delano Street.
Thank you. See, everybody's excited. It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 9 is public comment. Again, if this is anything on the agenda, not on the agenda, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, and I don't see any public comments. I'm going to move ahead to agenda item number 11. 11A is our city boards, commissions, and area agencies. 11A1, Councilmember Walker, could you give us an update on the Allegan Fire District Board January meeting?
Yes, I can. Find my notes. Okay. The basics of the well, just a little bit of data from the meeting. Out of all of December 2024, we had 47 incidents for the month, compared to 31 the year prior. 47 to 31. And 581 labor hours this December of '24 versus 226 of last year. And I have a little bit more, let's see here. For the whole year, 2024, 326 calls. department calls, 326 department calls, and officer calls where an officer, well, had to go out or chose to go out. 269, hard to relate what that really means, but those are the numbers. So almost one a day calls last year, all of 24. The only other major event was a big discussion regarding the Life EMS, the relationship with Life EMS and the fire department, fire district, and the amount of hours that it's well, Chief Brink is trying to work with, a little, maybe at times, maybe a little contentious, I'm not sure, but Life EMS asked for help on some cases where maybe Chief Brink thinks it's not necessarily appropriate or not necessary, that they've got to work that out. There was a big discussion on that, and I think, Joel, they wanted to make sure that, and I talked to you, that our police chief would be a part of those combined meetings.
Okay.
And I think he has been in the last couple. Is that correct?
He was at the last one. I directed him to go to the last one, but I will let him know.
Okay, all right. For some, yeah, they thought that might be a good, that's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, 11A2 is the Downtown Development Authority February meeting, and that, I will take that one. Most of the meeting was discussing the FY26 budget planning. Some of the DDA members discussed ideas or brought ideas to consider for funding, marketing of the downtown. Some of them were ideas that, well, city staff took down. Some could be free, using more, our social little computers we all have with texting people of upcoming, events and things like that. And then the match on Main, the deadline for downtown area businesses to submit their applications for that is February 28th. Anything else, Parker, that you want to highlight?
You covered it well.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to 11A3 is the Planning Commission February meeting, and Councilperson Westover, would you like to take that?
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning Commission meeting, we started with continued discussion of the zoning, zoning districts, permitted land use and setbacks. That's been moving forward, and then there was some movement on the Girl Scout property. I might pass that to Joel, though, for some more information. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, thank you.
Just real quick for the council's information on the Girl Scout property, what I shared with the planning commission was that I have a final site plan from the developer that we have a due diligence agreement signed with. And the next step is setting up a neighborhood meeting with that neighborhood off Riverside, Wolcott, and Highland. So I emailed Steve Smolla, who lives up there, and he's been the neighborhood leader that I've communicated with on getting, meetings set up in the past, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So I'll probably follow up this week with him.
Okay, thank you. 11B, we'll move down to the Finance Department, and 11B1 is approval of accounts payable and payroll with Mayor Pro Tem Morgan absent. Did you just want me to take that? Is that how that usually goes?
Anybody on council can read it. Usually the mayor doesn't make motions.
Well, I can. Okay, who would like to take this? Will, would you like to read this? Councilperson Walker?
Or you say is, yeah.
Just read, yes, and, yep.
Okay. First, let's see. This would be January payroll.
Nope, or you say is accounts payable,
Oh, sorry.
that number, payroll, that number, total, that number.
$6,503.15. Payroll, $132,754.80. Total, $289,257.95. And make a motion to approve. So, will someone make a motion to approve?
No,
I make a
motion to approve, and now we just need a support.
I will support.
Looks like Councilperson Canales. All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Councilperson Walker. All right, 11B2 is a request to adopt Resolution 2505, Single Lot Assessment Resolution of Determination.
I can handle this portion. We presented this list of properties to you at the last meeting. Tonight, you're approving a resolution that directs the city assessor to create the special or the single lot assessment roll. Once they create that roll, we'll bring it to you at your March 10th meeting, where you will request that it be published in the newspaper and a public hearing be scheduled for the March 24th meeting, I believe is the way it works. So tonight, you're just adopting Resolution 25.05, directing the assessor to establish the special assessment roll.
All right, can I get a motion to adopt Resolution 2505?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2505.
I will support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion amongst council? Any questions?
Quick question, yes. It states, I'm just curious, it states that multiple attempts were, tried to reach these people. What methods, what communication is that?
We mail the invoices out as soon as we get the request to do so from the police department or whoever requests it. And then we send out statements monthly after that. And then it's whether they're signed up through email or it goes in the mail, but
Okay. Thank you.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. 11B3 is a request to adopt Resolution 2506, approving the fiscal year 2025 second quarter budget adjustment. And I don't know, Joel, Tracy, is there any further?
I can handle this one, Tracy, if that's okay. Okay, yeah, so as council is well aware, you make budget adjustments after each quarter. This is the end of the second quarter, which ended on December 31st. We are making adjustments to our total revenue by $166,262, and then expenditures reduction of $1,140. That number is a little different. In your report, you will see an updated summary sheet that was distributed to you. But that's all positive when we're spending less money than what we budgeted. And we're getting more money than what we budgeted as well. Any questions on the report?
I would just like to add that in the report on the second page, the expenditure total was, there was an error on it. So this is the correct amount, not the 5,140, it's 1,140. And the increase in revenue you see here, you're gonna notice at the next quarter budget adjustments, there's gonna be a higher expenditure adjustment for the Mahan Park. The Mahan Park revenue is adjusted in this quarter. The expenses is gonna come in the next quarter, because you guys are approving that tonight.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. That's not the reason for the revenue increase?
Partially it is,
Partially.
not 100%, but there's a big chunk of it is because of the revenue that's coming in for Mahan Park.
Okay.
Is there any other questions from council? No. All right. Can I get a motion to adopt Resolution 2506?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2506, approving the fiscal year 2025 second quarter budget adjustments.
Thank you. All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. All right, we're going to move down to 11B4 is a request to adopt Resolution 2508, establishing an application fee for temporary marijuana events.
The memo says it's from me, but I believe Michaela did most of the work on this, so I will go ahead and take this report. At the last meeting, or a couple meetings ago, you guys approved temporary marijuana events. That means we now have to approve what the application fee is going to be for the administrative portion when someone is applying for a license. Michaela did some research, and they ranged from $250 in some communities, depending on how early you applied for the license from when the event happened. So it's like a sliding scale, and then all the way up to $1,000. We are recommending that this fee be set at $750.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 2508?
I will make a motion that we adopt resolution 25.08.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion amongst council?
I have one question. Is that fee anywhere tied into the fairgrounds at all, or is it just the licensing fee?
Just the licensing. And this is also probably, I mean, you guys all get the budget, you see what our fee schedule is. But for a marijuana restore or grow facility, it's $5,000. So this is significantly reduced from that amount, but this is a one-day event or, two-day event based on this, so. They're, whatever they pay for the fairgrounds, that's a separate entity, that's a nonprofit. The city isn't associated with that. So this is the license fee for the city.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from council? All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. 11B5 is a review of the December 2024 and January 2025 revenue and expenditure reports.
So historically, we would share these reports during the study session. And historically, even we've been a little bit hit and miss on sharing these reports. You see all of the expenditures and revenue with the accounts payable. When we share that stuff, you see it with the budget adjustments. This is just another layer of updated numbers. It's going to be our intent that we share these reports with you at each meeting, not each meeting, at this last meeting for the previous month, so you can see where we stand with this. But since the budget adjustments are done for December, since January is done, we, share this stuff. So the next meeting will be March 24th, that you'll see this report, and it'll be for February's R&E. You do not need to make a motion on this. You are just receiving these reports. I would encourage council, like I do all the time, when you get reports from staff, you can always email myself or Tracy with questions, set up times to come in and talk, and we'll gladly go over any of the reports with you.
Is there anything tonight that any council person has they'd like to?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of information. What department, is there a department that, like looking at percentage of expenses and some with revenue, maybe at midpoint, right after the 2 quarters, maybe underperforming or under yielding. Are there any concerns that we should look at?
So at this point, I think it would be a good idea maybe if you and I went over it, like you set up a meeting and went over it with me. There's a lot of things, depending on the budget you're looking at, where the revenue comes in once a year, maybe twice a year, maybe quarterly, So there's some things, I don't have any concerns at this point with anything in our budget. If you have, want specific explanations, I can sit there and talk to you all day long and bore you to death with the details in there, but there's some things that are points in time. We collect all our tax revenue right up front in July. So you'll see the end of the year, we're not bringing in as much revenue. So there's not anything I have any specific concerns on. I don't know if you do, Joel.
No. Yes, to answer your question, there's no concern. If there's a concern, we will be sitting down with council immediately saying, the house is on fire. But there's no specific concerns, but if there's a page number on here or a line item, we can look that stuff up for you easily.
Like, for instance, an expense here that is 161% of the budget amount. So, not that it's,
What page number are you on?
that is general fund, page 106.
106?
I'm just wondering, in a case like that,
So I'll,
it's a small amount, it's not a big.
and I'll tell you too, a lot of times if we have encumbrances on there, if we have a purchase order that goes over a couple years, it's taking it into account at this point in time, not that it should be spread over 2 years, so it's going to be over what maybe we have budgeted. So if there's an encumbrance amount on the side of it, which I think when I print these reports out, it's all on there, that would be one reason that it would be over 100%.
Yeah, so that one, if I'm not mistaken, you're looking at account number 101.
Just an example.
Yeah, 101-253-96-200, had a budget of 2,000 and it's at 3,200. We can look at that and let you know exactly why that's over that $1,200.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't know, in those cases, how do you treat that? It's not a big deal, you wait and see if it balances out, or,
Yeah,
okay. All right, but I will make an appointment.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind too, these are all at a point in time. If this is the December one, which I'm not sure if it is, there are points in time too that, there are reclassifications that happen, things get posted to the wrong accounts by, you know, when Carol enters something in, or if I make a journal entry, there might be something, but, revenue might be booked to a expense account, and I have to reclassify those, and you'll see in the next, monthly report that should be changed, but I would always email me, because those are things, like I might have missed it in December. I usually catch all those things in June, but, those are all things that, you know, between the department heads looking at their accounts and you guys questioning me and Joel and I reviewing these reports, that's how those things get caught, so.
Sure, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions okay. All right, we will move down to agenda item, looks like 11E, Public Works. 11E1 is a request to authorize a purchase order for Milbocker Sons in the amount of $110,371.60 for improvements to the Water Street parking lot and create a budget adjustment in the amount of $125,000 for this project.
thank you, Mayor. At your last meeting, I shared with you at the end of the meeting and comments from the city manager that I will be bringing this forward to council at this meeting. What we have is Water Street parking lot, which is located on what I'm going to call the northeast side of Water Street, and between the Perrigo outlet store and Myers Bumpers to Bumper that's an auto store in downtown. That parking lot is past its useful life. It is riddled with potholes. The concrete driveway aprons, we have exposed rebar in there. It needs to be resurfaced. It was brought to our attention earlier this year from the representatives of Perrigo that they are concerned about renewing their lease at their outlet store due to the quality of the parking lot. We are currently scheduled to redo the parking lot behind City Hall and the Regent Theater this year, and so we talked to that contractor that received that bid, Milbocker, asked them to give us a price to redo this parking lot as well. It came in at $110,000 and some change. The city staff, our DPW, will be the ones that replace the concrete aprons because we can do it cheaper than doing a contractor. So our recommendation is that we set the budget at $125,000 and we issue a PO to Milbocker Sons for $110,000. This will come out of our general fund balance to pay for this work. Any questions?
Yeah, who owns that parking lot then? It's
The city of Allegan owns the parking lot, yeah, it's a public parking lot. We would not be doing this if it was a private parking lot. Myers Bumper to Bumper owns the 6 or 7 spaces along their building, as you can see there. But when you pull into that parking lot, it all looks like one parking lot.
Okay.
And the city is going to do the whole thing.
We're gonna do the
including
whole
those
thing.
6
Yes.
spots, okay.
Because if we don't do the whole thing, then it's gonna look janky, for lack of a technical term.
When the city of Allegan redid the Cutler Street parking lot, similar practice was put in place. Some of the hashed parking, it's not parking, but the hashed area behind Country House Furniture, Just a Second, Hunters, and the former Bubba's building, that's all privately owned. But again, you're pulling into that parking lot. We're not gonna redo everything else around it and leave that looking poor. So that's the same concept happening here.
Okay. All right, yeah. Can I get a motion to authorize a purchase order to Milbocker Sons and create a budget adjustment in the amount of $125,000 for this project?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, purchase order from Milbocker and Sons.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion amongst council? No? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. 11E2 is a request to authorize a purchase order to Landscape Forms in the amount of $25,385 for the purchase of furniture for the Mahan Park Improvement Project and a total budget adjustment of $61,684.97 to the Mahan Park Improvement Project budget.
Okay, so Mahan Park, as you all know, we are gonna be reconstructing it this year. As part of that, we are also purchasing some furniture as well that should go in there. Where we stand right now, and as you saw in my staff report, when we started this project, we were looking at a $400,000 total project. That project has crept up to $466,000 when it's all said and done. We started at $400,000 because, as I explained in my staff report, we were encouraged by Lakeshore Advantage, the Right Place, and the Greater Muskegon Economic Development, which are the 3 economic development organizations that oversee Kent County, Muskegon County, Ottawa County, and Allegan County, to apply for an MEDC, which is the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, RAP grant, which is, I forget what the R stands for, but it's placemaking grants. So it's going into your community public spaces and improving them. They are very excited about the work we're doing in Allegan, so they wanted us to apply for a project down here in Allegan. And we chose Mahan Park. As part of that quick grant application, we had to turn around and submit a quick project budget, and that's how we came at $400,000. We have since gone out to bid for that project, and the total cost is $466,000 when it's all said and done. And you can see that in the screen in front of you and in the staff report on the right column. The design engineering was $39,000, construction engineering was $31,000. The construction bid that's going to site work that you've approved was $334,000. The band shell structure is $32,000. We chose to purchase that directly instead of having the contractor do it, because that saves us on the markup fees that contractors do when they purchase something. Same with the furniture. So we're here tonight to get a PO to purchase the furniture from Landscape Forms. It's the same furniture that's existing in our downtown, so we continue that theme through our downtown, as well as have additional money set aside so we can improve the current plaques that are on the brick wall there, identifying the original funders of Mahan Park, as well as install new plaques for this most recent round of fundraising that we did. One thing I want to point out is we started this with the city being more or less committed to spending $240,000. But through additional grants and funding, we have reduced our cost down to $99,000 for a savings of about $140,000 to our general fund. And in my opinion, that is a big success for the city, that we've been able to apply and receive so much outside funding for this project. But this evening, you'll be approving a purchase order for $25,000 and some change for Landscape Forms, And then we'll be doing a budget adjustment to the remainder of the program budget and the amount of $61,000 and some changes shown on the screen and in your staff report. Questions for staff?
All right, can I get a motion?
Are we making motion for the budget adjustment as well?
Yeah, so the motion is to approve the purchase order and approve a budget adjustment.
All right, I'll make a motion then for the purchase order for 25,000, and then a budget adjustment of 66,000,
61,
61,000.
684.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
I will support.
All right. It's been moved and supported. Is there any questions from council, comments? No? All right, seeing none. Can I have, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion passes. All right, 11F. 11F1 is a request to adopt Resolution 2509 to approve a charitable gaming license for the AHS Safe Celebration Committee. And who from city staff is, I see the application.
No problem, thank you. Yeah, so I can handle this real quick. Long story short, state of Michigan, if a nonprofit wants to do a raffle or any kind of gambling operation as a fundraiser, they have to get a license from the Secretary of State, Lara, something like that, from the state of Michigan. For them to get this license from the state of Michigan, the local jurisdiction in which the nonprofit is located has to identify or pass a resolution clarifying, stipulating that they are an active nonprofit in our area. AHS Allegan High School does a Safe Celebration Committee for post-grad, correct? Thank you very much. For post-grad activities, so this is a simple resolution that you have to pass. We do this occasionally in the new council. You'll see this happen for a variety of nonprofits that come before us.
If you'd like to know the specifics, I can tell you.
All right, thanks, Amy. Come on up.
Since I don't have a voice, I'm sorry. I was with the wrestling team this past weekend, so I screamed a lot. It is for a pig raffle that we are hoping to sell tickets, and I have a donated pig from Paul Collier out in Hopkins, and that's what it's based on.
Okay, thanks, Amy. Can I get a motion to adopt Resolution 2509 to approve a charitable gaming license? All right, thank you. Can I- All right, it's been moved and supported. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving down to 11F2. We're going to receive an update on the rental inspection program and city code enforcement.
Thank you. So yeah, Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Morgan, who is unable to be with us tonight, requested this update at the previous meeting. But this report was in the packet, so he has seen this information, and I believe he's at home watching on YouTube as well. So what we want to do is give you an update on the rental inspection program first, and then we'll go into an update on how code enforcement occurred, or our accomplishments with code enforcement in 2024. So we're about 16 months into this second round of our rental inspection program. Prior to this, the City of Allegan had a rental inspection program up until 2015, when the city switched inspection services from Michigan Township Services to PCI. And at that time, that city council decided to put a pause on the rental inspection program. A few years later, or a few years ago, a new city council said, we'd like to do a rental inspection program again. So we restarted the rental inspection program again, and we've been going at it for about 16 months. I would say we are still crawling. We're not up to even walking yet with this new program. In the past 16 months, we've identified several issues. One is that the ordinance the city currently uses, that it used back pre-2015, states that the city and not the landlords would have to pay for all inspection fees. That's just not feasible or smart. The ordinance isn't very clear on our fees, so we need to describe them better. We need to identify charging registration fees per parcel, or we need to decide, do we want to charge registration fees per parcel or per building? Most, if not all, of the apartment complexes have multiple buildings on one parcel, so we need to be clear on that. We need to be clear that there is a penalty fee if you choose not to register your parcel or rental, and if you neglect to schedule inspections or re-inspections. And then the updated list of rentals, we need to revisit that and identify all of the rentals that are in the downtown, that are commercial properties, second floor apartments, because in our first go around of creating the list, those units were not identified. And then the inspection letter that goes out to landlords needed to be reformatted so it is more clear that it's coming from the city of Allegan. So in your packet, you saw the list of rentals and where we stood. As you can see, supermajority have received 2 letters from us, and they just have not responded. Hence why we need to update the ordinance and say, if you don't respond, there has to be some kind of, process to make them respond. You also got a copy of a new proposed ordinance that we have put together working with our city attorney. You've also saw the new draft letter that we have put together. And so what we are recommending that council does is allow staff to meet with a couple of landlords, go over the new ordinance as well as the draft letter, make sure they don't notice anything that's, out of sorts, and, make sure they're okay, they think it's a good way. We are already working with PCI on this stuff. They're reviewing this new ordinance as well. And then we'll come back to council at a later meeting for you to adopt a new ordinance for this, as well as this new draft letter. And we'll go from there. And then we'll update the master list of rental properties. And with that, similar to how the budget or the financial reports change day to day because they're a point in time, rentals change, maybe not day to day, but week to week. One day a rental, next day not a rental, kind of a thing. So we're gonna, that list will be ever evolving, and just something we need to stay on top of. Questions about the rental inspection update? Concerns? Issues?
I thought it was interesting. I don't know what, the previous council, why they wanted to reinstate this. But this is kind of tied in with city code enforcement and the blight, the majority of the code enforcement was not for rentals. The majority was for homeowners. I just thought that was interesting. So I don't know if Mike, do you have were you here in 2023? I'm just curious on what that council wanted to move forward with the rental inspection.
I just don't know a community that doesn't have inspections.
Okay,
And so,
okay. Yeah, that's just one thing. Yeah, I just want to, know what happened in the past so we can understand and keep that momentum going and that. So, anybody else have any questions?
Joel, you said it's not fully up to speed currently. Is that because of the amount of rental units? There's just so many there's so many to do, or?
No, I would say because they have sent out 2 letters, as you can see in that master list, the second column from the right. You can see how many 2 letters are sent and nothing received. By nothing received, it means the property owner did not respond.
Okay.
So more or less, it's falling on a deaf ear. Some of them, the letters that went out, and that could be just attributed that the letters that originally went out weren't clear that they were coming from the city of Allegan, but they were coming from PCI. So they could have just ignored them that way.
Is there any other council comments?
And then we're gonna give an update on code enforcement after this.
Okay.
But we wanted to talk first just about rentals.
All right, any other comments on rental inspection?
So if someone gets an inspection and there's issues wrong with the property, is there a,
Yeah, so
for costs and?
Yeah, so in that master list you received in your packet, there was quite a few that received inspections, and then those are highlighted in red, and you'll see they need re-inspection, but the landlord is not contacting PCI to schedule that re-inspection. Hence why we think the ordinance has to have some kind of penalty fee for neglecting to schedule inspections. If we go into John Doe's, landlord John Doe's apartment and, identify 7 things that have to be corrected to make the house safe per the International Property Maintenance Code, then they say, cool, but never call to have it re-inspected or to fix, to show that they fixed it, then it's not certified. It can't be listed as green. And I think Mayor Perrigo asks a question that, maybe the whole council should talk about on the validity of a rental inspection program, how comfortable you guys are with that, how would you like to see that operate? That's why that ordinance is in there. Those are all questions. And again, Mayor Pro Tem Morgan was the one that requested this item be on this agenda, and I mentioned I would bring it for this meeting, and unfortunately, he's not here for that conversation.
Yeah, I know you said you're gonna touch on the code enforcement next. I was just wondering, and I could have done this.
I can go into that next.
Yeah, I was just, what is it in? I didn't think I saw it in here. What percentage of
Sure,
the
it's a-
issues are, front yard parking? What percentage are
Correct,
blight?
yeah.
What percentage are garbage?
Yeah, so we didn't go into that with our code enforcement, but we can do that breakdown further.
Yeah.
What we can tell you is 307 contacts were happened. I know in my report it says letters, but sometimes they just knocked on the front door and talked to someone, and they handed them the flyer, mostly with front yard parking. Of the 307 that were sent out, 13% were rental properties and 87% were owner-occupied properties. And the types of violations was everything from blight in yards to front yard parking. Of those 307, only 8 did the city have to abate, which in my opinion is a great percentage, that we only had to go into those 8 of those properties to fully abate and take care of the issue altogether. We'll go ahead and we'll update the different kinds of violations that were sent out, so you can see where that stuff all landed.
And can you also explain more? What does blight mean?
So blight means everything from used washing machines in the front yards, tires, junk in the front yards on the porches, broken down things in the front yard, backyard. If it's out of sight, out of mind, so if it's in a garage, we don't get too hinky about that stuff. If it's in a house, we typically don't get too hinky about that stuff unless it's a fire issue, like the fire department can't get through the house. There's one property on Monroe near J.C. Park where the front porch is enclosed and filled from the floor to the ceiling of stuff. People tell me that's blight and I need to write them a ticket, and I'm like, it's completely enclosed, and it looks like there's a pathway from the front door into the house. It's just stacked really high on the side, so.
What were the chickens or the animals? We allowed chickens. Were they just like loose chickens? What does that mean?
Excuse me. Yeah, either loose chickens that are not enclosed. All of them have to be enclosed, so they're running out in the front yard or in the street. More chickens than are allowed that were visible from drive-bys, or houses, properties that we knew were not registered to have chickens through the permit that has to be obtained through the city that they had them. Roosters, Joel just mentioned too, roosters are not allowed to be kept in the city limits. And we get calls of complaints from neighbors who can hear the roosters crowing.
Yes.
So, yep,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, you bet.
What is the FYP?
Great question. That's just our short little acronym for front yard parking. Yep.
Is there any other questions from council? Comments? No? All right.
The responses from Kalamazoo, when we have a property inspected, 30 days later, we're expected to get it rescheduled,
Yep,
or a fee shows up in the mail.
yep. And if you don't pay that fee, what happens, do you know?
Another fee comes the next month, and so on, and then all that goes on our tax bill.
So they do put your unpaid fees on your tax bill? Okay, that is, I mean, that's the discussion we want to know. I mean, we want to hear,
Right. And, you know, the fees for having it registered, I think it's $75. But the real issue is if things aren't fixed, then you're running out substandard properties to people. And everybody deserves a good, safe home to live in.
Any other comments from council? No? Okay, all right. I'm going to move down to agenda item number 13, which is public comment. We have our second public comment of the night. So if you have any public comment you would like to share, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and we limit it to 3 minutes. And I will open that now.
Marlia Simons, 478 Delano Street. Is this housing development is a done deal, I take it?
We don't usually do question and answer during public comment. It is, you know, your time to state a comment you may
Okay,
have. But if you, Marla, I know you have questions, so I just want to make sure you get your questions answered, and we can do that after the meeting.
So you want me to wait and ask my questions after the meeting?
Or you
you can
can,
just answer it now, I think. We're good on time. It's at the end.
okay,
Yes, it's a done deal. So the development was reviewed and approved at the planning commission, and then it went through the rezoning and approval process at city council. And then this evening at the 6 o'clock meeting, they approved the BRA for the financing, for the tax increment financing.
So who do I talk to with my questions after the meeting?
You can talk to me, I'll be here.
Okay.
But to answer your question now, it is done.
any other public comment? All right, seeing none. I will move down to number 14, communications from the city manager.
Just real quick, and this is more just to educate council or give you some tools to use. Sometimes it's hard to remember the exact wording of the motion. You are well within your right to say, I move that we adopt staff's recommendation as presented in the report, period. As long as you agree with what's in that. That's why we have that recommendation section at the top of each report. So feel free moving forward to just use that language if you want. You can also verbalize exactly what is in the report, or if you want to change it, you can also change it. That is all I have for council.
Okay. All right, thanks, Joel. Item number 15, roundtable discussion from council and mayor. Councilperson Canales?
Yeah, so I was having a discussion with Bill Morgan, and he wants to, and I'm interested in maybe figuring out some way to put in some guidelines of when city sells property. he was thinking something about, putting it on a bid situation. I just think it's something we need to discuss more and come up with some sort of a plan guidelines.
Okay. All right. All right, yeah, Joel, is that something that we talk on the next agenda? I don't know.
As I've mentioned to council, I work for a council of
All right.
7.
Well, we'll
So if
put
the
it on the
majority,
next
so if
agenda.
the majority direct me to start working on something, I'll work on it.
Okay, or I can.
You can
as
put it on the
mayor-
agenda for discussion.
Can you put it on the agenda for the next?
Easy peasy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Councilperson Hooker.
So Councilmember Walker and I did our coffee with council at Mugshots on the 21st, last Friday, from 8 to 10:20-ish. We had 4 people stop by. Just kind of, there was one gentleman that wanted to inquire how to change ordinances. He's looking to put tiny homes on his property, and they would not be attached, which is the issue. We had some suggestions for graduated access to the riverfront, perhaps at Mahan Park for handicap accessibility, as well as at the New Year's Eve, maybe making those parking spots down below just handicap so that we could allow people to come down. A request for a ski and sled hill, streetlights on Cutler Street, the trestle bridge, looking at making it temporarily usable for pedestrians as we keep looking for grants, and creating the sports complex to become a district sports complex. So those were some of the things that they suggested.
All right, thank you. Councilperson Walker?
We, nope, just the same thing that Melanie said. We've really good residents in this town, and it was a lot of fun, and we plan in March, another Friday in March, correct?
Yes.
Do we have a
March 21st at Minnie's instead of Mugshots. We're gonna kind of move it around.
Are you guys gonna move the time around so people that work first shift will be allowed to show up as well?
we didn't think of that.
We didn't think, yeah, we said 8 to 10 this time, but we could do it later, maybe on
Just
on a
curious.
Saturday, a different, in April, maybe.
Just curious, that's all.
Let's do the March one and then April will change.
All right, Councilperson Westover. All right, thank you. Councilperson Zeter.
I'm just glad that I saw sun today.
Me too, me too.
It was nice to see the weather change, and it was actually a fairly
Yeah,
compared.
yes, the birds are singing a different song. Yes. All right, I have nothing for tonight. So at 7:07, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.